It's great. Thank you.
Agreed. Yeah, that's awesome. I think one of the things I think about when you talk about the idea of all this stuff, and in particular a few minutes ago when you're talking about longevity, like I always think, I somehow wonder how my excess weight that I've carried through the years is going to affect my longevity in life. And you actually make a really great point in your book about this, where you really talk about how the foods we eat and the impressions we take in relate to that sense of longevity. Could you sort of unpack that a little bit?
Of course, yeah. In terms of obesity specifically, let's address that. There is no such thing as far as I've ever seen. I could be totally wrong. Maybe I haven't met this person, but I've never heard of or seen any research indicating that there are obese centenarians. We don't generally see people who are obese living healthfully into their 80s, 90s, and beyond. So that excess weight is really putting, physically, in terms of a gravitational sense, extra strain on our organs, on our nervous system, on our lungs, and especially our heart. So losing weight and maintaining a healthy weight range is just healthier for our organs and our respiratory nervous system in the long run. Studies have shown that. But if we're playing, in the 5, 10, 15 to 20 pound range, I haven't seen any danger in that range. When we start to get into clinical obesity or moderate obesity is when we need to start taking a look at implementing some strategies for, building in some muscle mass building. They've shown that weight training in particular, as opposed to cardio, is great at having that thermogenic effect in the body where we're actually burning fat and burning calories while we sleep. So a lot of my clients, when they want to lose weight, they're like, I'll just hit the treadmill or I'll start running. But what I recommend is actually doing, weight resistance exercises, because that's actually more beneficial for weight loss. And in terms of longevity, Rick, these other practices, in addition to the weight training, if we talk about having a healthy mental attitude, again, instead of punishing ourselves for being overweight, instead of punishing ourselves for making, quote, negative food choices, every single day we wake up and every single time we sit down for a meal, we have the opportunity to make a new choice, to make a different choice. And it's just having that sense of empowerment of, just because I chose something yesterday or this morning does not mean I'm bound to making that same choice now. We always have the opportunity to reinvent ourselves, like David Bowie or Madonna.
Nice.
We always have the opportunity to make a new choice.
I love that idea. I always like, because we've talked about this before, Kate, this whole idea that, can you really get behind this idea that every day is a new day? It's a new day to begin again, right? Because that's sort of what, particularly for people that have struggled with weight or any type of eating issue, it is that spiral, right? That gets a hold of you, that shame spiral, because you do it once, you're like, I screwed up breakfast. I might as well just eat what I want for lunch and eat what I want for dinner. And then that takes into the next breakfast, next lunch and dinner and so on. So it's such an important concept. I really love that.
Yeah. Have you ever been overweight, Jason?
I can tell you, when I was eating the standard American diet, and then over the process of 3 years from moving from that into veganism, I lost about 15 to 18 pounds, but I've never been obese or overweight. But I did notice that, as I took out the dairy and the cheese and the animal products of which I was eating self-admittedly profuse amounts, some weight just naturally came off. And for a lot of people I know, they might have to work a little bit harder, especially if they are, say, like a junk food vegan. A lot of people make the mistake that, I'm going to go vegan to lose weight. But they end up being a junk food vegan, and they actually put on more weight as a result.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of fats and sugars that are vegan.
And I've been vegetarian for a long time. So it took me a long time to learn how to be a healthy vegetarian, right? To
Absolutely.
not eat all of that junk food stuff. That's like a whole different transition. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I think part of that is a lot of people, they feel an emotional sense of deprivation of, okay, so I'm making this big switch and I'm changing my lifestyle. Oh God, but I don't want to give up the cheese puffs, and I don't want to give up, my cheese slices, and I don't want to give up the deli meat. So they eat a lot of the more processed vegan or vegetarian foods. But again, a lot of those processed foods aren't necessarily healthy per se. So I think that that's a good transitional approach. But ultimately, again, the philosophy that I espouse is just getting people to eat more fresh, organic fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, seeds, and legumes, as much fresh food as possible.
Great.
When you break those chapters down, like once you start doing something for like better skin or better sex, how long does it take for that to sort of kick in? Like if Kate goes home and makes all that food that's going to lead to, for better sex, does that mean she's going to want to, get horny tonight and jump someone's bones? Or is someone going to jump our bones? What's going to happen to us?
Is that something you want to happen or trying to avoid?
Like, how long does it stay? I'm going to think about that one. Oh, probably both. I don't know.
Well, it depends.
Like, how long does it take
person.
for this idea to kick in once you start eating this way?
I think it depends on how, first of all, your personal constitution, but how clean you are. Like, if you have a lot of, mucoid plaque and toxic buildup in your digestive tract, you're not going to assimilate and utilize these nutrients as efficiently as someone who has been eating clean, who's been detoxing, whose digestive tract and digestive system is going to absorb these nutrients so much more readily. So it really depends on the person. I do think, though, if you start dialing in these ingredients, like let's say eat for better sex, you start eating more kabocha squash and asparagus and watermelon and experimenting with superfoods like maca powder, or dialing in something like, there's a really potent Chinese herb I use called sistanche herb. We call it sistanche. We call it sistanche in your pants here in LA. You can take it from mild to wild. If you want to start off with those familiar ingredients, or you want to get into like the superfood products, you'll definitely notice a difference depending on the potency and, again, how clean your body is.
Okay, great.
That makes sense.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Kate.
No, go.
I was going to say, one of the things that I really loved in the book is you make this statement about, I wrote this book to help people spark the natural curiosity and excitement and passion for living within you. Could you just talk about sort of that end phrase, living within you? What does that mean?
I think this phrase, I meant that for two reasons. There's a double meaning there. The natural curiosity and the spark is within people. We have that as a child. All of us have that as a child. But I feel like we lose that as we become adults and become conditioned to a way of eating, a way of living, a belief system that keeps us shackled to our habits and way of being, where we're almost like have this tunnel vision and we're not willing to experiment or explore life anymore. And so many of us fall into that pattern of like, I'm just going to stick to what I'm used to. I don't want to hear about the healthy stuff or the vegan or the positive thinking or the meditation or the working out. The hell with all that stuff. So sparking the curiosity and bringing out that childlike sense of wonder and fun and experimentation was definitely one of my intentions with the book. And the other meaning to that of living in you, living within you, is getting people to stop focusing on their external circumstances and blaming their external circumstances and getting more in touch with their own inner voice, getting more sensitive to what's going on in their own hearts and minds and bodies. Because I feel like so many of us are just so disconnected in our culture right now, because there's an overemphasis on, hey, if you just eat this food, you're going to feel better. And if you buy that fancy car, you'll feel better. And if you make this much money, you'll feel better. And if you have the 10-pack abs with the implants, you'll feel better.
Right. We're back to the quick fix idea, the instant gratification idea.
Exactly. And it's so externally focused that people are so disconnected from their hearts and their true selves. So that's really the intention of this book, is getting people back to reconnect with themselves, reconnect with that childlike sense of wonder, and just start playing again in life and experimenting and doing what makes us feel good, instead of attaching our happiness and our contentment on all this external crap that doesn't really make us feel good in the long run.
I get that.
And again, that long run is the thing. I think it's so easy to confuse what makes me feel good in this moment with what ultimately makes me feel good and is a good choice. And that's it's a tricky question.
Yeah, it's a lifelong battle, and it's a lifelong challenge that we have, because, I think we can extrapolate that approach, Kate, to anything in our lives, whether it's, you get a $1,000 bonus at work, right? So you could take that $1,000 bonus and go to Vegas and blow the whole thing pretty easily, right? You'd have a great time that weekend. Or you could say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take half that money. I'm going to throw it in my investments or my 401k or whatever it is, or my savings account, and I'm going to take the other 500 and treat myself. It's the same approach to eating and diet. It's like, are we going to like blow it in every single moment just for that temporary fix, that temporary high? Or are we going to think about, okay, how can I get my needs met in the moment? And how can I invest and plant those seeds for the future? And I feel like that system can have tremendous benefits in a lot of aspects of our lives.
Totally. I love that none of the options were that you put all $1,000 in your retirement. I like that wasn't one of the choices, you know?
Well, you could do that. You absolutely could.
It could be, but you're not saying that's necessary is the point.
No, not at all. It's just coming down to, I think, the word that I always go back to, guys, is balance, right? Because if we're constantly saving, but we're not enjoying the moment and like, I'll enjoy it when I'm 60 and retired. I've met those people. They're miserable. It's putting off your happiness to some later date you might not get to. But if you're completely living in the moment and blowing all your resources constantly, because like, YOLO, bro, you only live once, man. Let's do this, right? All we have is this moment, brother.
Jason's in California.
It's like I meet a lot of those dudes too, and it's like, God bless you. And I think the middle road, I think the sense of balance, the sense of how can I live and give in the moment and create a sustainable future at the same time. To me, that's what I'm shooting for. And I think a sense of balance is a healthy mindset. It's a healthy approach to life.
Totally agree.
Do you know what's so funny about that, Jason, now that I'm thinking about it, and this had not occurred to me before, is when I really started to get super conscious about what I was putting in my body, like maybe 12, 13 years ago, there was a direct relationship between how I thought about money and the same thing as food. I was that person years ago. Oh my God, $1,000, get it to the retirement house right now so I'm not living in the poorhouse. That was me. And it's so interesting now that I think about it, that's sort of gone in tandem with my more conscious eating.
Yeah, I think there's an absolute correlation because, okay, let's get metaphysical. Can we go metaphysical for 2 seconds?
I'm holding on. Cool. I got my Shirley MacLaine book right here. I'm ready.
Awesome. So aside from the physical perception of food and money as tangible objects in the world, they represent energy. Food, as it's broken down in our body, is converted to ATP. It's converted to energy. Food is fuel. Right? Food is not the end game. Food is just a source of energy for our bodies. Much like money is not about this intrinsic, worthless piece of paper. It's the fact that we have agreed that this is a representation of our life force. It's a representation of the hours we work. And in exchange, we get money, energy in return. So if we break down money and food into just representations of energy in our lives, we can treat them both in very similar ways, and how we invest in ourselves with money and smart food choices in both ways. So I think you're right on point with that, Rick.
You know, and that ties back perfectly to what you wrote in the book about it's all about the impressions we take in, right? Everything's energy. We're taking all of this into our body somehow or some way, whether it's food, whether it's money, whether it's the things people say to us, you know, in a relationship, or they just something that happens while you're driving. It's all that we're taking in and making an impression on our body somehow.
Yeah, it's all nourishment. You know, we often think of nourishment just as our physical food, but everything you're describing is nourishment for our entire being. And so, again, thinking about healthy relationships, how we treat ourselves, are we engaging in a healthy relationship with our coworkers? Every single aspect of our lives, because, you know, nothing happens in a vacuum. Nothing happens in a vacuum. How we do one thing, I truly believe, is how we do everything in our lives. Nothing's isolated. So if we have that healthy, balanced sense of self-love, that's going to show up in all aspects of our life. If we have a negative sense of self, that's also going to show up in every aspect of our life.
That's great. So what would you say? What would be the one thing you would say, like tomorrow, like when or me, anyone listening, when you wake up from sleeping, you swing your feet off the bed onto the floor and your feet touch the floor. What's like the one thing you would tell them to start with tomorrow?
A gratitude prayer. And I say prayer very liberally, whatever someone's spiritual, religious beliefs are, or none at all. It's applicable to everyone. Is, you know, for me, saying some version of, thank you so much for another day. Thank you. I have another day of life and love and learning. I have another opportunity to connect and touch people. I have another opportunity to cultivate more peace and prosperity in my life and health in my life. And every morning when I wake up, before I do anything else, I just give thanks for another day. I give thanks for the gift of life. And that is a tremendously powerful practice to start the day before we do anything, is just giving thanks for being alive. And it's so simple, but my God, it's so effective.
Right on, right on. I think my favorite thing about your approach, I mean, there's a lot of technical things about your work that I think are really interesting and novel and creative and wonderful. But I think my favorite is that it's all about living your best life and being who you're meant to be. And food is one of the ways that we do that. And I think you're just doing that really beautifully.
Thank you.
Amen.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So how can folks find and follow you, Jason?
I am all over the internet. If people want to find the book, I'm everywhere. I'm like Kim Kardashian's butt.
Oh.
I wish.
Yeah, one of those other things I'm not compelled to look at.
Yeah, but you can't look away. When you do see it, you just can't look away. People can find me on my website. My book is out. People can pre-order it. It's available in the U.S., Canada, and the United Kingdom right now. They can go to jasonwrobel.com. That's Jason, W-R-O-B as in boy, E-L.com. /Eaternity. That's EATERNITY. And I'm
See what he did there with that title, you guys?
I'm a big fan of the puns and double entendres.
He's clever.
Too, baby.
And on the social media platforms, people can find me on Twitter and Instagram. My handle is @JasonWrobel. On YouTube, it's Jason Wrobel TV. Pinterest, it's Jason Wrobel. And I'm also on Snapchat for all you millennials and net genners. Come follow me. What up, yo? YOLO.
God love you for doing all that.
I know, right? All right, here's our final hard-hitting question, okay? Let's say you had to go to an island and you're going to be alone and you can only take like 5 foods with you. What would you take?
This is the equivalent of asking me if I could only take 5 albums for the rest of my life.
That's right.
Which is really... Well, I can answer that too if you want.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Okay, foods. I'm going to think in terms of versatility. Definitely coconut would be the first one because I can do the milk out of there, the water, the meat, protein rich, really high in electrolytes. So coconut, definitely first one, which would be easy on a tropical island. Hey.
That's right.
Avocado, blueberries, hemp seeds.
That one surprised me.
Maybe I could find a way to smoke them too on the, I don't know. You can't, by the way, for everyone out there, you cannot smoke hemp seeds.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And the last one I would definitely do like raw chocolate, like cacao.
Cacao. What's the difference between cacao and cocoa?
So cocoa powder is the heavily machine processed version of cacao, which is the raw chocolate bean. So cocoa is usually processed with alkali and some artificial fillers. Cacao is the pure, raw, powdered version of ground up cacao beans. So it has all the nutritional components like magnesium and antioxidants. And raw chocolate, dark chocolate in particular, has the ability to create more anandamide in our brain and PEA. Anandamide and phenylethylamine are 2 brain chemicals.
Easy for you to say.
Have you guys been in love? You guys have been in love, right? Mm-hmm. I'm assuming? Okay. So you know those gushy, goo-goo feelings like, baby, I love you so much. Oh my God, I just want to like throw you in a bathtub and like cover you in chocolate sauce and lick you. That feeling? Yeah.
Yes.
So we can replicate that feeling. We can replicate that feeling by eating raw chocolate.
Good Lord, I'm going to go get some chocolate right now. That's what I'm going to do.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So chocolate is a great, great substitute if you're not in a relationship, but you want to have those lovey, gushy feelings.
Excellent. Nice. And of course, real chocolate, not Hershey bars, right? Is
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, what are your albums?
Now we need to know the albums.
Oh God, this is actually harder than the food choices. I've backed myself into a corner now. I am going to say,
we won't hold you to it.
No. In this moment, yeah. Jeff Buckley Grace,
Mm.
Iggy and the Stooges' Raw Power. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. I would say probably Aretha Franklin. I can't choose one Aretha Franklin album.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'll throw a hair metal band in there. Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. There we go.
It's good. You get all your moods covered that way.
And as a bonus, I'll
and
throw
you get in a final pun.
I have to throw in Queen, so I'll throw in A Night at the Opera.
Oh, nice. Excellent choices all. All right. Well, Jason, thank you so much for your time. It's been really terrific. And everybody go buy Jason's book and join and subscribe to his YouTube channel. There's all kinds of good stuff on there.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you so much, guys.
Jason.
I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
And please join us for our next episode on the perception of weight gain professionally, personally, and pop culturally.
This podcast is supported by generous donations from our listeners. So please visit us at patreon.com/you won't believe what I ate to support the podcast. Thanks so much.
Thank you.